Good evening and welcome to Encore, your weekly arts and entertainment show on Midlands 103 with myself, Zoe Ryan, sitting in for Claire O'Brien. Delighted to be back on the airways after being out of commission for 2 weeks with a hoarse throat. Now, when I say hoarse throat, my own mother couldn't understand me half the time. So going on air was not an option. I'd say my voice is 95% back to normal. I can still hear it a bit, so I'll try not to push it tonight. But it got me thinking, people who, like me, who use their voice for a living, like singers, actors, teachers, even retail workers dealing with customers on a daily basis. You know, we should really be protecting our voices from this. We can't really afford for a hoarse throat to that extent to happen frequently. So this week, since I was back being audible, I went on a deep dive investigation into it, looking at how hoarse throats come about, steps we can take to avoid getting them, and the do's and don'ts when you have one. You know, things you should be doing to aid the healing process and equally avoid to not cause damage. And I discovered some unsuspecting causes and outside the box remedies. So if that does sound of interest to you, I've put together a piece that I'll be airing on the Midlands Today show tomorrow morning. And speaking of things of interest to you, let's get back to tonight's show. If you are an animator based in the Midlands, perhaps a musician looking to bag your first live gig, or you enjoy a good play, tonight's show is for you. But first, my intention was to start the show as Claire always does, with some new Irish music. This is the latest single from Dublin musician Sean Collins. It's Darling, I'm Hoping, but I see that the system is playing up a little bit on me, so we're going to go to an ad break whilst I try and sort that out, and I'll be back to you in just a second.
Midlands 103.
You are listening to Encore with Zoe Ryan in for Claire O'Brien, and this is new music from Sean Collins. It's Darling, I'm Hoping. Beautiful new music there from Dublin-based artist Sean Collins, who I met first when I was at a conference up in his native county at the end of last year, which I thought was a fantastic idea, to have performers such as musicians and comedians in between heavy talks, allowing your mind to rest, and a really clever way to give up-and-coming artists exposure, which brings me on to my next segment. If you are a musician, how do you go about getting live gigs? Well, I have just the woman to reveal the trade secrets. Waiting on the line is Sarah O'Sullivan, founder of SOS Artists. Sarah, thank you for taking my call this evening following the launch of your new facility or service, SOS Live. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so SOS Live, it's the brand new grassroots booking agency that SOS Artist Management has just launched. So myself, Becky Keating and Zach Douglas, we just basically wanted to expand more on the SOS Artist Management brand. So with the management side, that kind of looks after the bigger picture end of an artist's career. But with SOS Live, we really wanted to focus on, you know, booking gigs for artists and getting in from the ground up. So our main goal is basically just helping Irish artists to build those crucial relationships with, you know, venues, promoters, festivals across the country, but also we want to be there when artists, you know, are making those initial steps to the UK and to the EU. So we have Becky Keating on board, so she is spearheading it. So she is originally from Cork, and she brings just incredible experience from her time at WME. So she worked with a really big booking agency in London that looks after artists like, you know, Dua Lipa, Foo Fighters, and she just moved back to Ireland. So we were just having a chat, and we decided to start working with Belfast psych rock band Madame's Last Discovery, and then noise rock group Therapy Horse, who are from Limerick and Cork.
So I suppose first, to understand how SOS Live came about, tell me a little bit about SOS Artists and why you decided to find that.
It's just basically a couple of us, you know, who have a background in the music industry that really, I suppose we saw that a lot of Irish artists, when they were looking to make that next jump in their career, it was always, you know, the goal, oh, we'll get ourselves like a UK manager, a UK agent. And we were like, why can't we do this ourselves, you know, and really bring them from the ground up and be that support system that really understands, their music and their influences and stuff like that. So far it's been going well. So we just then decided that, a lot of artists would ask us, can you get me gigs?
Yes.
Which as a manager, that's not, it is within our job spec, but management is kind of more for that bigger picture and building a team.
Right.
So
okay.
That's why we started SOS Live, because there was just so many amazing bands that were reaching out to us that just wanted, to get on the road, start touring. And that's when we brought Becky in and we were like, we just think you would be perfect for this. So we're very excited. We've worked with talent from Carlow, Kildare, Cork, Galway, Belfast, and I myself am a proud Kildare woman. So I think, I know exactly what it's like to feel kind of like you're watching the music industry from the outside and you feel so close to all of these, amazing music hubs, but still a little bit disconnected, I suppose, from that inner circle.
Sure.
So with SOS Live, we wanted to kind of kick down those doors from artists from every corner of the country. And I think, being a Midlands artist, I think seeing it as like a superpower, you were just hours away from each music hub. You're literally straight smack bang in the centre. So I think we want to really kind of challenge the idea that you have to be based in, Dublin to make it. So I think that's definitely like a key part of why we're doing it as well.
If someone wants to get involved with SOS Live, what can they expect to get out of it? You said there about the difference between SOS Live and SOS Artists. With SOS Artists, people are on your books, they have that whole managerial aspect behind it. But what's the difference then with SOS Live? What is it that offers people?
It's literally just for booking gigs.
Okay.
So there's obviously a load of these agencies in the UK and the EU and the US, and there are some in Ireland already. But I suppose we wanted to offer this service to artists that, they're ready to get those first few gigs in the UK and the EU. So what we will offer is, you'll start working with Becky. She will start putting together maybe, your debut Irish tour. And then, starting to get those gigs in the UK, like festivals, stuff like that. So it's basically just having someone to champion you purely on the gigs end. So it's kind of with management, I suppose, it's a very full-on relationship, I suppose, that you have with the artist. Whereas with the agent, it's kind of getting to do all the really fun stuff,
No doubt. And it's brilliant to see that, you said there that your clients are coming to you and they're saying, can you get me live gigs? So you're listening to them and thinking, okay, well, this is what people want. So let's try and tailor something to give people where that need is. And that's something that we obviously saw this week. We saw that Awfully Arts Office, they're partnering up with First Music Contact now. And they're after releasing that survey where they're saying, you tell us what you want, how we can help you. And then we're going to develop workshops on it. So I think it's really important that people who can facilitate and help artists in this way, that they're actually asking them from the very offset like this, what is it that you want? How can we help you? Because time and time again, we'll see that something is put in place, whether it's a product or a service, and the actual users or people who are going to avail of it are brought in too late in the kind of testing process. And therefore, it's not exactly what they want. So for you, this was developed out of, as you said, people were coming to you with this need and desire, and you said, well, let's put something in place for that.
As a manager and stuff, that is one of the most crucial parts, of the job, is actually listening to what artists need and being able to facilitate that, whether it's, let's say more kind of resources for mental health, because, touring and stuff is so taxing on artists. So I think that's something as well that we really want to focus on, is that we're not just, sending artists out on these tours and then they're coming back to Ireland, to their day jobs and with feeling like they're not supported. So that is something that is just absolutely at our core, is making sure that artists feel like we're the first person that they can come to talk about things, not the last.
Yes.
We don't want them to hide those kind of things from us. So it's just kind of creating that supportive environment, I think, is so key.
And something that people really need, especially as you said, when they're getting started, because it really is one of those industries that it can sometimes feel like right place, right time. People go into it and they don't really have all those connections already, and they're going, well, who do I talk to? Whose door do I knock at? You know, what desk do I land on? So it's a great way for, as you said, people to get that initial few gigs, because that's really what a lot of it is. It's that when you get that first initial exposure and people start seeing you, that's how you get known. And one person will see you at one gig and maybe get you for a gig that they have going. And that's how it all comes about. It's like a snowball effect.
That's it. Like, I feel like you just need someone to champion you.
Yes.
You know, that's all you really need. So it's just, I suppose, you know, I don't think that, you know, we're going to solve all of the problems in the music industry, but I think it's being, you know, a voice that, you know, can champion the artists that we do have, and hopefully being a friendly face that other artists feel that they can come to ask questions, I think is the most important thing, because we are seeing, you know, such a huge, you know, resurgence in Irish culture and Irish artists. Like, we now have, like, a lot of Irish artists are the main headliners at festivals all over the world, which I think is so fantastic to see. But it's, you know, how do we get artists to that level? And I think, you know, it definitely starts from the ground up and being there from the start.
Well, SOS Live definitely sounds like a step in the right direction to, as you said, get our own artists to where they need to be on these stages. But Sarah, really appreciate you giving me your time this evening, and best of luck with the new venture.
Thank you so much.
And you can check out SOS Artist Live on Instagram to find out more about that. Up next, animation comes to the Midlands.
Midlands 103.
It is Encore on Midlands 103 with Zoe Ryan. I'm joined now in studio by Ronan O'Toole, the Programme Development Coordinator with the National Talent Academy for Animation, to talk about an exciting day that we have coming up in the Midlands. Ronan, we're getting an animation day in Offaly. Why was Offaly chosen as a location for this workshop? Are we a particularly strong hub for animation in the Midlands?
Yeah, thanks, Zoe. Delighted to be here. So we have partnered with the Offaly County Council Arts Office, essentially, to run this industry day. And like you said, Offaly has been a strong hub for animation with the residency programme that they run, where essentially it's a 6-month programme for someone to go in and make a short film, essentially. You know, Offaly Arts Office approached us about potentially running an industry day then, essentially, for people who are currently in the industry but also then may have left college or about to leave college and want to get into the industry and find out about getting into the industry, you know, what are the correct routes, essentially, of getting into the industry. So we at the National Talent Academy for Animation, you know, we're the training and upskilling arm for Screen Ireland. So that's, you know, essentially our job is to put on events like this, and we do a similar event for students already called animation fairs that take place in colleges all around Ireland, and we are now doing this for the industry itself, for people in the industry, and we're delighted to say, you know, the first one this year is with Offaly, and, you know, I commend Offaly County Council and the Arts Officer there to come in and, you know, reaching out to us to deliver this day. So the day itself will have, you know, we have a keynote speaker, Gilly Fogg, who's the creative lead from Lighthouse Studio down in Kilkenny, which are the animation team behind Rick and Morty, you know, the worldwide phenomenal show. And then we'll have industry talks from industry workshops from people like Lena Byrne, who's a brilliant script editor, and she'll be discussing like the best approach for writing scripts in animation and you know, what the industry standard is, essentially. And then we'll have you know, production workshops about the best way to approach production and funding, because oftentimes, you know, when you leave education and you go into industry, you know, there's lots of different routes you can take. You know, you could try and join a studio, which is obviously a very good route. But even if you join a studio and you might want to make your own films, we at the Academy can offer funding and we can help you, essentially, you know, and offer lots of training, which is, again, the purpose of this day is it's offer training, it's offering, you know, information and kind of demystifying the world of production, you know, just, I suppose, animation. You know, film can be an obscure route for lots of people trying to figure it out, but we are here just to try and simplify that for everyone. And the best approach for that is, you know, a lot of times we do stuff, we deliver stuff online. but these in-person days where we can bring people into, in this case, the Esker Arts Centre here in Tullamore, an amazing venue, and just have them, talk one-on-one with these people, these industry people who've been doing it for years. And we have a transferable skills panel where, because animation involves, artwork and animating and creating assets, a lot of people go on and work in, let's say, the video game industry or vice versa. We've had people who have gone from, let's say, architecture and have gone into work on the video game industry or the animation industry or the VFX industry. So it's just about giving people an idea of like what is out there for them in the animation industry. And again, delighted to have it here in Offaly at the end of the month.
And so this day is basically, as you said there, it's aimed at people who are trained in the industry, potentially even already working in it, starting out. It's not for anyone who maybe just has an interest thinking, I think that might be something I want to get into. You're looking for people who are actually actively working in that area. Yeah,
and I mean, we don't want to discount anyone and say, but it is, we are gearing these towards people who are currently in the industry and have just entered the industry or have left education and want to find, the pathway into the industry, That's what we're really here to do at the National Talent Academies, is just to offer that support and that advice, essentially, like the training that we offer. Like I said, most of the stuff we do is online, so we offer free workshops, free mentoring, free training, and then we have a film fund as well. So, we've a first credit film fund for people to make their very first short film as a writer, director, producer, post-education, and then we have a 15,000 film fund, similarly, again, to move you on. But for days like these, and we plan to do, lots more across Ireland, to make sure that we reach as many parts of Ireland as we can. But yeah, days like these are for people in the industry, because just because you're in the industry and you might be in the industry a while, it doesn't mean, learning stops or progressing in your career stops. You might want to, go in a different path of production, and we can help you with that, essentially. So so we're really, really excited about doing this, not just the first one this year, but doing it in Offaly and in the Midlands. I think it's incredibly important, and we've tried to get as many people who are working from the Midlands to this, like for some of our guests. So you have Lily Bernard, who's formerly of Cartoon Saloon, and she co-created Puff and Rock, and she's based in Westmeath. And then we have a video game artist called James Brady, who lives in Longford, but he worked for Rockstar. So he, Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, some of the biggest games in the world. And so these people are coming to share their industry expertise, essentially, to people. And again, just talk about like their careers and how they've forged their path themselves, essentially.
It's interesting. Like, I find myself, I worked obviously and studied in media, and it's great to get that hands-on experience and to meet people in person at these workshops. But it is fantastic that you do offer, as you said, a lot of online stuff as well, making, as you said, that little bit more accessible to people, because I'd say a lot of people who are working in animation saw this day advertised. Fantastic for us that it's located in the Midlands, but maybe for some parts of the country people are going a bit far to travel. So it's great that you do offer that online element as well.
Yes, I would say maybe 85% of the training and the work and the mentoring we do is online. Right. And again, it is just to make sure it's as accessible as possible. And because of all our training is free, and again, that's thanks to Screen Ireland. We're all funded by Screen Ireland at the academies, and they put the funding up so we can make sure that all the training is free, that there's no barrier, there's no monetary barrier to this training, because the idea here is just to upskill people so that, they make better films, which in turn go into the economy, and then we get it's a cyclical process here. So, and we always, when we speak to people when we're out and about, all over Ireland at events and stuff, and we just say, you can go onto our website, it's the nationaltalentacademies.ie, and you can find all the courses that we offer, essentially, and you can just sign up, again, for free. And if you don't get it the first time, we get a lot of demand, but we run all our courses as many times as we can to make sure those people who have applied do eventually get the course. And stuff. So, and again, that's it. It's just about accessibility, because, back in the day, trying to get into the arts, it would, the traditional route, and it's still the traditional route, where you would go to, let's say, education. You'd go to formal education, and you might start with maybe a PLC course, and then you go into college, that kind of, and that's totally, completely fine, and that's still the traditional route. But we can offer all levels of training for people who might be unsure if they want to work in animation or film or TV or whatever, and there's introductory courses that we offer, and you can get a taste for script writing or production or character design, background design, that kind of thing. So it's just about trying to help as many people as we can to work in the creative field, essentially. And again, that's why doing this with Offaly, and again, we hope to do more of these right across Ireland, and especially, I'm from the Midlands myself, and I live in Westmeath. I'm originally from Longford, but we're hope to do and there was very little access to a lot of creative stuff when I was younger.
Absolutely,
and had to really find. So now that I'm in a position where we can run stuff physically in the likes of Offaly and Westmeath or Longford or whatever is really important to us. Like demystifying and decentralising the arts, where not everything has to take place in Dublin or Galway or Cork, is really important, because
absolutely,
you could easily change someone's life just by having a 10-minute conversation with them one to one.
Yeah, as you said, sometimes this kind of Dublin-centric thing about the arts being a hub kind of can put people off it, or it seems like it's a barrier, deterrent. But as we know from this show, there is an awful lot going on within arts and entertainment in the Midlands, which is absolutely fantastic. But Ronan, tell me, if anybody who is listening now and they're thinking, I think this is something I would like to come along to, what do people who are attending have to come along with on the day? Do they bring their portfolio with them, or? Yeah,
if they want to come along and they have a portfolio, absolutely bring it with them. And again, if that portfolio is just stored on your tablet, it's on your laptop, that's completely fine. And if you don't have a portfolio and you're just inquisitive, just come along as well. Again, if you could be working in a career and thinking about moving over, or you would like getting some information about possibly moving over into the film world, the animation world, then absolutely come along as well and listen to what people are there to say, because so many of the people that work in the animation industry didn't necessarily start in the animation industry.
They found their way there.
There's so many different routes into the industry, and again, whether that's animation or film, but there's so many different ways you can get into the industry. So I think one of the most empowering things is just listening to people's stories about how they ended up where they are, essentially, So I would say, just come along, and if you have work to show, there will be, in the afternoon, there will be production workshops, there will be one-to-ones, that kind of thing, and you will be able to have someone look at your portfolio and go through it,
But it's not necessary. There's nothing that you're particularly asking people to come along with on the day.
No, it's not necessary at all. And again, it's just, we are here, we have set this up, again, thanks to Offaly County Council, in partnership to just offer our advice and expertise on the industry, because, we want as many people to work in the animation industry as possible. And the best way to do that is to provide support. So that's what we're doing with this one in Offaly, and I think we hope to have one again in April, maybe down in Cork. We've never done anything in Cork, so again, we hope to do something like that. And again, I'd love to do one in Westmeath as well. So, and it is just about offering that advice, that that industry experience and advice from people, because we have seen how transformative it can be for people to just hear very, clear, very concise advice and people's experiences about how they worked in the industry, and that's really what it's about,
Yeah, because that is sometimes what you're missing from the education realm. I know a lot of the time the people who are actively teaching in these professions, they are people who are still working in it as well. I found when I was in college, that was something that was really valuable when I was doing my master's. It was the people who were teaching us about film and TV, radio. They were actively working in it themselves, so therefore they had the latest. And as you said, it's all about that, being open to recognising that the skills, and especially with animation, that would now heavily rely on technologies, always evolving. So it's a case of, even if you've been working in it for years, this could be an opportunity to say, right, well, I need to learn the latest softwares to be able to move with the times.
No, absolutely. And I think one of the most important aspects of this, it's kind of something that is often neglected, but it is one of the most important things, is like the networking aspect of this as well. As you mentioned, you had people teaching you who are working in the industry. All of our mentors who develop our training and our workshops are people currently working in the industry.
Brilliant.
So it's a great way to network without having to physically go out and network, because you can meet people who can essentially hire you down the line. It's like your work, they might note this, this person has potential, I could hire them on a film and TV show down the line. But this event is a physical networking event again, because unlike film and TV, you get lots of live action film festivals. The Dublin International Film Festival is about to take place, and that's very live action. And people probably know the Cork Film Festival and the Galway Flat, and of course offline film festival here in Offaly as well. But there's not a lot of animation networking days and meetups outside. Animation Dingle is happening soon, so that would be the main one. And again, that's one of the most important aspects of this is the networking part of it, just to mingle and chat to your peers or your potential peers. And like I said, at storytelling. So, and that's why Screen Ireland set up the National Talent Academies in general, because they just felt like that extra bit of support is needed to keep people in the industry. And, one of our remits is to help close that gap between education and the industry, rather than just, you finish education regardless of what that is, and then it's up to you to try and find your way into the industry. We are here at the Academy now to help build a bridge essentially between the two, with free training, free mentoring, free workshops. We have a work placement scheme where we can put someone in a studio for 5 weeks and we cover that cost, and then our own film funds as well, because again, there's so many brilliant stories out there. They just need help and support to get them out to the world.
No, it's really encouraging to know that there are things like this happening, and like that, a lot of people just maybe don't even realise. So this is why we're giving out a platform today, to let people know that these events are happening. And as you said, there's a wealth of different things going on with the National Talent Academy throughout the year with the different areas. I know this is animation specific, but in your different areas of production as well. So thank you so much for giving me so much of your time.
Thank you, Zoe. It's been a pleasure.
And there is still time to register for that free access event happening in Esker Arts in Tullamore on Saturday, February 28th. You can register via the National Talent Academy or Offaly County Council's website. Easiest thing to do is search Offaly Animation Day and you will find links there. And on the topic of free access events, a reminder that the Home and Energy Expo is taking place in the Tullamore Court Hotel this weekend on Sunday, February 22nd from 11 a.m. I'll be in attendance myself on reporting duty. So if you are heading on down to it, do pop over to say hello. I know I can see the names coming in on the text line and the people who call in regularly every week, but it's also lovely to meet the listeners and put a face to the names that I know are listening in every week. Still to come, The Burned Man, the latest play from Midlands run production company Famore Productions, is coming to a theatre near you.
Midlands 103.
It is that time already. We are into the final segment of Encore, giving you a rundown of what's coming up in the line of arts and entertainment in the Midlands, such as plays. Joining me now is one half of the dynamic duo that is Daniel Murray and Patrick Fogarty, the founders of Famore Productions, to discuss their new play ahead of it coming to Laois. Dan, you're very welcome onto the show tonight.
No, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be back.
Absolutely, because you were on not too long ago. It would have been during the summer you were on with us. The last time you were here, it was ahead of your debut film premiering. So Dairy Babes was just about to premiere.
Yep.
And you also made the announcement on that night about Famore Productions was going to be a thing. So before we get on to talking about the new play, how was that on the circuit, like doing that festival circuit?
Oh, it was great. It was madness, really, how it all kind of came together, because we had gotten into one film festival, which we thought was the greatest thing since sliced bread. We were not that we had no hopes for it, but it was just it came as a great surprise. And then, just like dominoes, we ended up getting into 3 more. So we had a run of maybe 5 weeks where we were going to all ends of the country.
Flat out.
Cork, Kerry, up here in Birr as well, and then in Dublin. So, look, it was a whirlwind now. It was a whirlwind, but great experience now, I have to say.
What has it been like going out on your own? I know that obviously it's yourself and Patrick, but really out on your own, like trying to get all this together. It looks like it's been going really, really well, but how has it really been?
Well, yeah, geez, I don't know about that. Well, look, it has been going well to a certain extent. We put a lot of work in. We dedicate a lot of time, and in fairness to Patrick, he'd be working at it during the day, whereas I still have a day job. But we'd be doing a lot in the background, and to be honest, we've got a good group of people around us. We've kind of brought people on board with us to help us with actually producing a show and what that entails. Like, we'd be kind of managing the business aspect of it, so I'd be doing a lot of the promotion myself. Patrick would be doing a lot of the admin, and it's just it's like any business. You just kind of have to approach it step by step, because it can get quite overwhelming. I can tell you, it can get quite where you're thinking, how are we going to pay for this, or what's this going to cost, and oh my god. But no, look, in fairness, we've got our heads screwed on, and we're not trying to conquer the world straight off, but we're just trying to do something that we kind of know how to do, and try and put the necessary kind of pieces in place for that to happen. But as I said, look, we've had some fantastic people helping us, giving us advice, and Even the likes of the Arts Councillor here was giving us some great advice and talking to other people who've done this type of thing before. So, look, we just try and kind of follow the path that's been laid out already and take it one step at a time.
Yeah, because it is a big leap to take. Like, you would have been used to being an actor and you obviously would have been relying on going for gigs in like other people's productions. So to go out, as I say, essentially on your own and say, let's do this and see how it goes, you're taking on a lot that I think people wouldn't realise. They're like, I know from looking at social media, you've been heavily relying on the likes of family and friends to, like that, you know, construction workers that you know, to help get that set up and running. Have you gotten any supports outside that? Like, have you been able to avail of, we'll say, funding to get any help with that?
Yes, well, look, we're kind of in the process of funding. It took us it actually took us a couple of weeks to kind of really register the business. We kind of went through, I tell you, if you ever go on the CRO and all that type of stuff, you'll be looking at documents that looks like gibberish, to be honest. But
it's not your area. Do you know you're an actor?
This is it. I know, but look, we are in the process of getting funding, in fairness. We're talking to the Arts Councillor here, the Arts Councillor in Tipperary, and we're hopefully going to subsidise the play that we just have done. So like that, pulling in favours then as well. Like,
you have to do a bit of that, don't you?
Mere beg, borrow and steal. And look, we're lucky in the fact that we know a lot of great people who are more than willing to help out, you know, give up their time, you know, not take money. Like, we've had cases where some of the crew where we've wanted to, you know, give them a little bit or expense them or whatever, and they're like, no, Jesus, they want to do it for the love of the game. So it's it's a very humbling experience when you have that kind of support behind you. So
I think it's a shared thing as well, though, isn't it? Like, I know, like that, I'm, you know, a presenter by trade, but if someone I knew was doing a piece and they needed a presenter, absolutely. Like, it's not that we're trying to encourage people to say work for free. That's something that obviously we're very against in this industry. But at the same time, I do think everyone's been there. We all know what it's like, that we're going, okay, I'm going to help you out. I realise you don't have the funding here. I'll give you my time and expertise because it's going to come back. Do you know, something will come down the line out of it. So I think a lot of people recognise that. And as you say, they're more than willing to give their time. And a lot of it, it's just because they're going, this is an exciting project. Let's get involved.
Actually, when we were building the set, for instance, over in Esker Arts, like even the likes of Esker letting us use the facility, is just seeing people put in 12, 14-hour shifts, you know, and like we were doing it as well, but that's a given for us. And other people just dedicating their time and more than happy to do it. It's just, I was saying to Patrick, look, regardless of what happens now, we put in so much work here that even if we fail and fall on our faces, it's
it was such an experience, and it's a heartening experience to see everyone pulling together like that. But you've mentioned it there, the play, The Burned Man. So you went from doing, as you said, you tasked yourselves, right, let's start our own production company, let's make a short film, and then straight away leaped into going, let's do a play, and as you said, tour it around Ireland. So tell me about The Burned Man. What's the concept for it?
So to give you a bit of context about the story, or a quick synopsis, so it revolves around a character, the burned man, who was burned in a horrific fire in an apartment block that ended up taking the life of his wife. The fire was started by a couple living below them, just an accident. And what he does then, a couple of months down the line, is he kidnaps the couple and he brings them to a log cabin in the Slieve-na-Mon Galtee Mountains, and he ties them up, and the whole story revolves around what he's going to do with them.
Okay.
So he that's the driving force of the place.
I was wondering there, I was going, we're getting the full story here. so right, that was just giving the background context.
Yeah, exactly.
It all happens in this cabin then.
Exactly. So it's all set in the one setting in this cabin that was beautifully designed by Mark Quinlan, a Tullamore native, and constructed by Pádraig Siri, my dad, James Fogarty. Just have to give them a shout out. And loads of other people who chipped in as well. But so it's all set in the one setting, and then the aspects that we use, the theatrical aspects, if you will, that we use, is that it's it mirrors, there's two types of play. So the conversational dialogue he has between the two captives, which is very kind of absurd. It sounds very dark, but it's actually, and we noticed this when we did it in Third, it's actually more of a comedy. It's very, very comedically written, and I have to shout out Patrick for that. I think he's a creative genius. But so the kind of has the aspects of the dialogue between the characters, and then it goes into a couple of monologues for the burned man, where he kind of talks about his relationship with his wife, and then the main aspect that we use is that he has a voice recorder machine that she used to, because he used to drive a truck for a living and used to be gone for months at a time. She'd send him lovely voice messages.
Right.
He recovered this from the fire, so he plays messages throughout the play, and then that is also a tool that we use to tell the story about his relationship with his wife and what may have happened in that relationship or that night of the fire. So I won't say any more. I won't say any more. But that's the play in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's kind of not to be saying that it people comparing the whole time, saying, oh, it reminds me of this and the other. But that aspect, obviously said the voice recordings reminded me of, is it Afterlife? Is that the programme that Ricky Gervais is in and his wife?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, she's passed on and that's the presence of it. And she leaves him these messages and he kind of watches them back. And then it transports him back to that time. So he's in that memory for that episode, we'll say.
Absolutely. That's a great pick now, in fairness to Zoe. That's... There's a lovely couple of voice messages there where it goes back. There's in let's say the first half, it's just herself on the voice tape. Then there's actually a voice tape of herself and Elijah, the burned man. So it really does capture what you're saying there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a real insight in their relationship and takes him back to those memories as well. And just as well to shout out Ciara O'Mara, who plays the voice of Bella.
Okay. Yes, of course. You'd have to have a separate actor for that.
Oh, of course, yeah. But she's brilliant. She's brilliant in her role. So no, it's very good. It's been very enjoyable to do, and it's something so new to audiences. I think even having done the performance in Thurles, just noticing the reaction of the audience has been incredible. It's been incredible and very humbling and heartwarming as well. It has to be said.
Yeah, so you kind of started out your stint, we'll say, of touring in Thurles, as you said there. And you're moving on now. You have a couple of venues coming up in Laois.
Yes, correct. We're actually doing 4 venues in March Madness. So we're starting off in Kildare, would you believe, on the 5th of March for the 67th annual Kildare Drama Festival.
Right.
So we're actually the opening act on the 5th, which is a Thursday. And then only 3 days later, we're in Mount Mellick. On the 8th of March in Mount Mellick Drama Festival, which is great. Even how that came about was just pure chance, because we hadn't even planned to do any drama festivals. We were just planned to do maybe 3 venues in the short space of time. That's another thing about the business. Trying to book venues can be
I can imagine.
So yeah, we're doing 2 venues basically in the space of 3 days in Kildare, Mount Mellick. Then we're heading to Galway City, to the Micklally Theatre in Galway, Druids Theatre. So that's on the 12th, 13th. Of March, and then we're ending kind of our March run in the Dunamace on the 19th.
Yeah.
So it's going to be something.
Do you have an end in sight for the run of this piece? I know that plays can live on, they can be revamped, but at the moment, what do you see as your trajectory of when you're going to kind of stop running this and maybe look to a new project?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We actually initially we were thinking of kind of a yearly run. Our kind of main goal for this project in particular was to get to the Dublin Fringe Festival. So we've applied for that. We applied for that before Christmas. So we have our application gone in and we're hoping to get a slot there. And that'd be kind of our main goal for this year. But because of the investment that we made in it, with the set and everything that went with it, we would actually view this maybe as a 2-year project. So even this year to kind of establish Fomori as a brand and as a company and as someone who will deliver a good show, that'd be our kind of mission statement. And then if we can establish ourselves around in our base in the Midlands and maybe reach out to other venues elsewhere in the country this year, then maybe in the next year, if we have a bit of a name value for ourselves, go to somewhere like the Everyman in Cork, or somewhere like even up a big venue in Dublin. That's kind of our dream for the project.
Yeah.
And something that, sure, why not? Why not even just attempt it? So what if we fail, or so what if we get nowhere near it? But if if you make the right steps, I believe you can't really go wrong. Yeah. So look, that's kind of our immediate future. For our immediate future this year anyways, to get to the Dublin Fringe. And by the way, I will shout out, we are coming to Tullamore, listeners, don't be worrying. We'll be coming to Tullamore in June, but that'll kind of be our tune-up fight for the Dublin Fringe.
Yeah, well, as I said, from the outside, it looks like you've been doing so much since, I said, the last time you were here, when you only had just established the production company.
Absolutely.
But has there been any surprises? Like, has there been anything that you were going, I didn't expect that to be a thing that I'd have to think about going into this?
That's a good question.
Like, I'm thinking along the lines of, I know myself that I've been looking into getting like a website developed this year. And like that, you're thinking, design it, manage it, whatever. I did not think I'd have to look into having to manage people's data. Do you know? So, do you know, there's things that you're going, I did not foresee this was coming down the tracks, and it's not my area of expertise. So who do I bring in to do this? So was there anything like that you're going, I didn't realise there'd be that much paperwork. I didn't realise there'd be this, that and the other. Do you know, was there anything like that kind of caught you off guard?
Let me see. Like, the website's actually a great one. We have a website that Patrick made, and it is... Not that it's bad. I wasn't going to do it.
I'm going to Google it as we speak to see how crude this is.
Actually, do you know what? I'll tell you, it's a great effort. No, but it looks very good, but it's just...
Look, let's just say to poor Patrick, who's not here to defend himself, he's a writer, director. It's not his area of expertise to be doing coding in the background of a website.
Honest to God. I know, but look, it's a very nice looking website for what it is. But like that's something that we probably... That's something that we need. We definitely not need a bit of help on, but we need to probably dedicate a day or two to kind of sort that out. And then as well, just like filing receipts and keeping track of them and making sure, you know, trying to organise a day where we make sure we have our transport on time, we make sure we have this on time, make sure all that kind of stuff. It's just pure admin, pure organisation, pure... just trying to be on the ball and trying to be sharp. And it's just, stuff gets dropped a little bit, but you don't really mind. And I suppose, to answer your question, or to try and answer it, it's a lot of things have surprised me, or a lot of things have kind of caught us off guard. But at the same time, we've shown we can definitely roll with the punches.
I was going to say, yeah, you've rolled with it.
Yeah.
Daniel, it's been fantastic chatting to you. Remind me again the upcoming dates that are coming up in the Midlands.
Absolutely. So just to let you know, for more productions will be coming to Kildare Town on the 5th of March to the CMWS Hall as part of the Kildare Drama Festival. We'll be opening the festival, which is a great honour. We're delighted to be there. Then we will be in the Mount Mellick Drama Festival on the 8th of March, which is a Sunday. We're also very happy to be there. So anyone in the locality, you're more than welcome to come along. And then we're going back to myself and Patrick's old stomping ground, actually, because we were in college in Galway, to the Mick Lally Theatre on the 12th and 13th of March. And then finally, for March, we're going to the Dunamace Theatre in Portlaoise on the 19th.
I'm impressed. He's literally just reamed these off from the top of his head. There's no paper in front of this man. Those dates are ingrained in your brain, and that shows how much involvement you've had in getting them together.
Never forget.
Dana, it's been a fantastic chat as always. And as we said, Patrick couldn't be with us tonight, but no doubt is listening tentatively at home, as well as the rest of the cast and crew. And I'm looking forward to having you again for your next big production.
Definitely, Zoe. No, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat to us. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, sure, look, we might see each other again. You never know.
No doubt. We could chat all night, but Joe Cooney is staring at me through that glass, and I can tell exactly what he's thinking. He's going, girl, stop talking and get out of that presenter seat before the clock runs out. He's up after news at 8. Until we speak again, thank you for listening and good night.